Welcome, everyone. Often we analyze individual policies and lose sight of how they influence other policies or how they are influenced by other policies. This is, however, very important. If one policy pursues a goal that undermines another policy's goal, the latter will not be effective. For this reason, policy coherence has become important in policy making. One example is energy policy. If it encourages the installation and use of renewable energy sources, it can also help achieve climate objectives. But if it allows for the building of coal-fired power plants, it is detrimental to climate policy objectives. This also relates to policy integration. When we want to address a problem as complex as climate change, we need to harness policies in other sectors to contribute to climate targets. And we need to ensure that no other policy undermines our climate target. We therefore need to integrate climate objectives into other policies. Article 11 of the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union recognizes this. It is about environmental protection, but this implicitly includes climate change. Article 11 states that environmental protection requirements must be integrated into the definition and implementation of the Union's policies and activities, in particular with view to promoting sustainable development. By referring to sustainable development, it recognizes that environmental, social, and economic goals need to be aligned. This, however, is still an abstract concept, and we don't really know how the integration of social, economic, and environmental considerations in the policy-making process and in policies should take place. Some people propose a pillar model in which the three systems are independent of each other but jointly are necessary to achieve the overarching goal of sustainability. Such a model tells us to take into account the three aspects, but it does not tell us how we should do this. How should we weigh the individual parts? This model also does not specify the connections and interactions among the three aspects. For this reason, some argue in favor of so-called strong sustainability, which is illustrated by a nested model. In this model, social and economic systems depend on the environmental system. The environmental system, however, can exist without the social and the economic systems, but not the other way around. Models like the pillar model ignore the relation between our survival and well-being and the importance of the environment. The nested model of strong sustainability is clear about the interconnections and the importance of the environmental dimension. It pleads for integrating environmental and climate concerns in all policies, and it prioritizes environmental and climate goals over social and economic objectives. This means that there are different opinions of the weight and importance of environmental and climate objectives when integrating them into other policies. Should they have priority? Or should they be subordinate to certain other goals? Policy integration in general is the incorporation of the aims of climate change mitigation and adaptation into all stages of policy making in other policy sectors, which includes non-environmental as well as environmental sectors. This does not necessarily exclude a weak sustainability perspective. But when evaluating the extent to which climate objectives are integrated in a policy, it can be very useful to analyze the weight and degree of priority that is given to the climate. While policy coherence and policy integration make a lot of sense, ensuring effective and integrated policy, however, is not easy. Climate policy integration should take place both at the level of overarching policy strategies, as well as at the level of individual policies that implement the strategies. When evaluating a policy with regards to its degree of climate policy integration, looking at the policy output is important. Output refers to the actual laws or other types of policy measure that is produced. But also looking at the policy outcome is important. This refers to the actual behavioral change that the output has triggered. The process of how a policy is made can also provide information on policy integration. Consulting and including different ministries or Commission Directorate Generals early in the drafting process can ensure better policy integration. Coordination processes to ensure overall coherence among different policies is, of course, very crucial. Now, how does the EU perform in terms of climate policy integration? The European Commission already tried to push for environmental policy integration in the 1970s and 1980s, but with little success and progress. In 1998, the European Council met in Cardiff and adopted the so-called Cardiff process. This, however, fizzled out, and the lack of success can be explained by the fact that it's not easy to translate environmental and climate policy integration into actual practice. Yet, the EU has made progress, and the European Green Deal communication is an excellent example of the Commission's attempt to integrate climate objectives in various other policies and to ensure policy coherence. This is, of course, at the level of a policy strategy, since that is what the European Green Deal communication is. The challenge now lies in ensuring climate policy integration and policy coherence in each and every law and other type of policy measure that is adopted to implement the European Green Deal. Another example of the EU's effort to integrate climate concerns can be found in the commitment to spend at least 30% of the EU's budget on climate-related expenditures. Attempts to integrate climate objectives in the common agricultural policy, however, have received mixed responses. In this area, the balancing between climate objectives and commercial objectives seem to tilt to the commercial objectives. Integrating climate concerns in all other policies is not an easy task. And we are not there yet, but some promising attempts have been made. In a number of cases, the political commitment is not strong enough to take the strong sustainability approach and to weigh climate concerns higher than commercial and other concerns. In the case of the European Green Deal, this seems to be somewhat different. While often there are win-win situations of climate and other objectives, in some cases choices need to be made, and this comes with tough political debates. This also links to the clash between politicians' short-term thinking and the long-term perspectives that we need on climate policy. Designing integrated policy is difficult. The right stakeholders and experts need to be involved, and good coordination processes across ministries or directorate generals need to be established. As you can see, It sounds very logical that we should integrate climate concerns in all policies, but implementing it is much more challenging from a political and a process perspective.